we are recording is in progress.
There we go.
Right. Good morning, David. Jerry, welcome back. Linda Wakeford, Lisa Sampson. How are you doing that, Lisa Sampson, whilst on your train?
Yeah, I've got a feeling they might not even be on a train anymore either.
Oh, really?
Oh,
dear. Is it all going a bit Pete-tong?
I think so. Morning, everybody. Afternoon, everybody. Oh, Martin Hoskins.
Martin Hoskins, how's life down in sunny Bristol?
Everybody's just joined. Mary has come back. We're just having an interesting conversation around desserts, puddings, of various sort of periods in time, shall we say. We've done Black Forest Gatto.
Mm.
There's a vicious rumour about a Viennetta.
There was. In fairness, it was Darren who started the conversation about the Viennetta, but I actually bought one when I was out shopping yesterday, and quite looking forward to my Viennetta. So
So there we go. So for those of you who joined, please feel free to add into the chat window your sort of. I'm going to go 80s, 90s desserts, that type of thing, things that we remember. Blancmange, there's another one.
Trifle.
Oh, I could never do blancmange. That's up there with the school sort of yellow pink custard. That sort of no.
And green custard. It's
just no, green. terrible things.
Wrong.
Not good. Not good.
I want to know what Martin Hoskins' favourite pudding is. Martin, you need to share that with us down in soggy Bristol. So, yeah. You're West Country, aren't you, Darren?
Yeah, I grew up in born and bred in Bristol. You can tell I lost the accent. I'm only joking. Yeah, I grew up in Bristol. So, yeah, for 20 odd years. So
yeah. Andrew.
Good shout from Andrew.
Yeah, chocolate sponge and custard.
Chocolate
sponge and chocolate custard.
Oh, Phoebe, is it Phoebe? Can I just check? We've done well so far. So for the ones that I've been on, it's been 100% Phoebe as Phoebe this year.
Oh, Martin Hoskins loves an apple pie. I'm with you on that one, Martin. I do like an apple, but ice cream or cream with that,
or custard,
or custard again. Or custard.
Is Steam going?
Yeah. Oh, it is Phoebe, and and Ingrid is on as well. So Ingrid's joining us from Canada. So blimey, it must be.
I'm hoping whatever Ingrid is having has got maple syrup in it. But
absolutely.
Yeah, Martin, definitely a man after my own heart. He's gone with the cream. So, yeah.
100% Phoebe, pudding chat. So feel free to add anything to the pudding chat. I mean, that's what I like about these 1280s. We're nothing if not diverse in our opening conversation points.
No. Catherine from Oxford, lovely mince pie. Wow. So I was fortunate this morning. I picked Matt up from his house to bring him up to mine, and got to see his mum Jane, who was also known as Jane from Newport, and she once signed a text message. We had no idea who she was, and she also provided a lovely mince pie as well. So that was very nice.
I did have to have a word with her though. They were shop bought. Normally she'd make them, so we've sat down. We've had a long conversation about it, and hopefully that won't happen again.
Yes. Dawn, not Dawn from Wiltshire, but Dawn Wiltshire. Pudding has to be Eton Mess. Definitely a good shout. Apple crumble custard, tough one. So no.
Just to choose between two of them. Well, see, now I have a confession to make with this. Anthony will be aware of this. That obviously, when I'm in the UK, we're out. I will go to the dessert menu first and work my way backwards on the basis that if it has sticky toffee pudding, anything after that is I'm happy with. But that has to be, if that's on there, I'm having it.
Yeah, I think we've concluded the conversation today. Thank you everyone for joining us. I think the sticky toffee pudding wins without a shadow of a doubt.
Hands down. But then
I
Darren,
don't need to be here.
Yeah, but just for you then, is it ice cream or custard?
You know where I'm going to go with this. It's going to be custard. I'm afraid.
Yeah. Custard.
So everybody's with me. Look, everybody's saying dessert menu first.
Yeah.
I'd miss a starter. I'd miss a starter.
There you go. Mandy had sticky toffee pudding last night. No cream. No ice cream or custard. Preferably either or both. Let's go both.
I need Mandy to confirm. Is that a no cream or no cream? I need an explanation on that. Gâteau Saint-Honor.
What is that, Gary?
Yeah, no idea.
Pudding with custard every time. This is brilliant. I'll tell you what, Darren, and we will obviously introduce Darren to everybody.
I'm good.
In a minute. But I've got to be honest, the chat's going off for the pudding conversation.
On fire, isn't it? It's on fire.
So the motive subject. Well, nobody's gone for the Christmas pudding yet, though, have they? Everyone's sort of nobody's gone seasonal. It's fair enough.
It's up there with Christmas cake for me.
Oh no, don't do marzipan.
Ian's gone ice cream only. I'm assuming that is the Ian that I think it is, and he'll be glad to know that I have warmed up after our conversation the other week where I was extremely cold back in London.
Choux pastry creme, no Christmas pud. Oh, right. Anywho, right, we're 5 minutes in, which is an awesome time to stop and properly meet Darren Clark. Darren, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Good. So a little bit different today, only in that Matt sort of flew all the way over here yesterday, which is why we had Oscar ably helping me yesterday with the Rubik's Cube. We're gonna set Matt the same task later and see how long it takes Matt to solve the Rubik's Cube.
Anyway, it might be longer than the 12 ATs then in that case.
Oh, thank you, Ingrid. Very kind. So, Darren, great to have you. You are, I believe, a West Country lad yourself. So, we're not a million miles apart, and it's a bit grim and horrible today.
Yeah, it is. Weather's not good, but we're in good spirits, so it's all good.
Exactly. Well, it's getting close to Christmas all the time. So, what is your plans for Christmas? Do you have the family to you? You heading out? What's your thinking?
We're actually going away for Christmas.
Oh wow!
Yeah, please don't ask me where it is, but I know it's a lovely little cottage somewhere by the sea. So, but yeah, down south way. So yeah, all the family's going. So yeah, so we're going to be going away for a good couple of nights away and a couple of days away. So yeah, celebrating Christmas away for the first time.
I was chatting to my mum night before last, and she was telling me that our local pub where I grew up is £100 a head for Christmas dinner at the moment.
Yeah, that's pretty much what standard I think without drinks and custard.
I think that's it. So did you offer to do it for half that price, Anthony? If she came to you, and she
no, double it, mate.
Okay,
keep them away. No. Yes, no, all good, all good. So in terms of the family, Darren, are you all sorted? Is everything sort of squared up with presents yet?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, there's a few more that I need to kind of get. But yeah, we're pretty much nearly where we are now. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's always an interesting challenge. Do you have children, Darren? I don't know.
Yeah, two stepchildren.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, one's 18, 19 nearly. Right. One's 12. So, but yeah, still, it's a lovely family, and we've got cousins and everything else, and lovely family. So yeah, so it's a really nice time to kind of just sort of pause, really. Yeah. Because we spend so much time during the year just being so busy. So that pause is just it's a great moment.
Absolutely. So what is keeping you busy at the moment in terms of your sort of life in the sector, Darren?
Yeah, so as we know, the neurodivergent kind of sector is always kind of evolving. So for me, it's I kind of still working in the educational sector, still working a lot with organizations, and a lot of people kind of starting out in their businesses as well, kind of helping to spread more awareness around this and kind of more knowledge on a global scale. So yeah, lots to do and lots of people to talk to. But I think that's the most incredible thing about our community is that we can, that community feel, and we're not just talking, in the UK, but on a global scale, it's incredible how we can kind of unite and help each other. And I'm literally, I always say I'm like a sponge every day. I wake up just trying to absorb knowledge of people. So yes, that's what's kind of keeping me busy at the moment.
What's I don't know, maybe a strange question, but in terms of the mood out there at the moment, is it generally one of sort of positivity around sort of neurodiversity and acceptance and that sort of integration, or doom and gloom? What's the feel?
I think naturally, again, I guess talking different, obviously, on a global scale. I mean, there's just so many challenges out there, and we know with the pressures with the UK, with the financial side of it, the job market, and all of these different things that happen. It has a knock-on effect, and I think, I think we are, without going too much into it, on a purge of kind of the mental well-being side of it. Is a lot of people struggling out there, but I think if you can kind of help and support that in a way, and not get too much caught up in what the media, I guess, is portraying in certain aspects, mainly around kind of ADHD, and that side of it, is that there is a, maybe I'm kind of a half glass full kind of guy, and I mean, I do have a positive kind of spin on things, but there are, I've been very fortunate, and I'll share a bit later, but to hear so many stories of people, and the struggle is real. But there are some incredible stories of resilience of people as well. But I guess the mood at the moment is very mixed. I think there is a lot of uncertainty. But I think that's where the community comes in and makes it a lot stronger, is that you can actually reach out to people and have those conversations. And and I definitely urge that. It's definitely something that I've done throughout my entire kind of career, I guess, is being able to kind of reach out and just share the burden or have a conversation or just ask a question.
Yeah, it's it does make life interesting. I mean, don't want to start getting into the politics of everything today, but as you say, sort of the government's trying to balance budgets, balance spending, and with competing agendas, and the one sort of aspect to minimise spend on things like mobility, access to work, whatever it may be, but then equally balancing that with the drive to help people get into and stay into work, stay in education. And yeah, that's always difficult, and I can understand why a lot of people do become quite downhearted, and especially with the press. I do think the press are, from my personal perspective, just too quick to jump on the negatives and the skews on things, and how things are perceived around what cars you can get on Motability or whatever. It's just a particular topic that I've just looked at the last couple of days, and the some of the negativity out there, the lack of understanding, just human kindness is just staggering sometimes in the press. It's very depressing if you listen to it too much.
Yeah,
sorry, Matt, please go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think somebody pointed out to me once with things like the press, is that it's a good story is not necessarily a story. If it's negative and there's something to be said about that, that's a story, because people will get onto that. But I've seen that with various bits and pieces over the years and stuff, where it's very easy to bash something. A friend of mine once said, easiest job in the world is to knock somebody else's work. And I think this is the same thing. We don't talk about the positive sides of stuff. We have to talk about the negative part, which is disappointing, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, I always think of it as kind of that support mechanism. And I think, from school, if you're not getting that support in school, then it makes it even more difficult in the workplace. And there's, there are some workplaces doing incredible things, and there's some workplaces that I guess could potentially do more, if, have more understanding. And I think that's where we then fall out. Of that kind of support bubble, massively. And it's much harder for someone to leave school with no qualifications or little to then go into the workplace. And we know with AI and everything, the workplace is changing, evolving literally week by week. And I think it makes it very difficult for the individuals. And then we start talking about mental health and well-being as well. So it's there's so many things, things to kind of help and support on.
Yeah.
The press don't help.
Well, we just a couple of bits in the chat window, actually. Both Dylan and Ian have both put in there that the Oxford University Press word of the year is rage bait, which I think is probably fairly apt for this conversation.
Yes, and I think Ursula makes an excellent point there. It's not even a word, it's two. How confusing is that? And yes, they did it to create rage bait. So it's a self-fulfilling sort of prophecy there. Funny enough. Oscar, who was sat exactly where Matt is sat at the moment yesterday, and thus, so we sort of put the BBC News on every morning, and he did say to me that, "God, this is depressing." Yeah, the poor lad's 13 years old, and every single piece of news was depressing. And we actually set each other a challenge, and I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do this, and I'm probably going to dig myself a really big hole, but it is to do a good news social media post every week next year, and challenge myself to do that every week, and whatever. And so yeah, that's what me and Oscar are going to do next year. And
that's a wonderful challenge. And also as well, just really quickly on your algorithm. So I actually opened an Instagram account, and this is where the algorithm, you can actually, it does literally feed you what it is. And this is just a separate Instagram channel that I set up, and all it shows me on the algorithm is funny stuff and good stuff. And literally I
Nice.
get nothing off of it. And it just goes to show, the second you spend a few seconds on something else, it will then throw more bad stuff at you. But it's interesting. So I actually use that channel as a kind of a motivation and things. So I go on there and I just scroll through bits and, find stuff. So yeah. And as you said, putting yourself out and seeing the news is only going to feed, that kind of frustration, I guess.
Absolutely. But we are the cure for that. I've got to say, the
Yeah.
purpose of the 1280s, the purpose of what we do and why we get up in the morning is to negate all of that negativity and to do something good for the world. And not because we're wonderful human beings, just because everybody bloody should. So Darren, I wanted you to tell us, if you would, a little bit more about your sort of mission, what you're doing around the neurodiversity stories and all those good things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I put together a kind of little bit of a presentation for you guys. I call it presentation, but so I'm happy to share that, or I'm happy to kind of talk you through,
Yeah.
guys. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Share away,
Please,
mate.
So,
share
guys,
away.
I'm just going to do the most scariest things I mentioned before sharing a screen.
This is
we
going to be Darren's shopping list now.
Yeah,
so
you'll be able
let's
to see. You'll be able to see.
In on the top left-hand corner at the moment.
Okay, just bear with me, guys.
Yeah. So anybody that's expecting a Christmas present off Darren now, turn away, because you will see the full list of what he's buying everybody.
Oh, guys, just bear with me a second.
Yeah,
No, you're all good.
Here we go. Here we go.
There we go.
My heart literally stopped then. Don't know what it is, guys. I honestly, sharing a screen is... People get bored listening to me about sharing a screen. They're like, yeah, we get it. We hear you. It's difficult.
No, stressful.
So hopefully, can you guys see that?
Perfect.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, brilliant. So what I want to share with you today is why your story matters. A lot of the people that I've spoken to and the incredible work that everyone's doing, the incredible work that you guys are doing as well, and your team, all comes from a why and people having a story. So I want to kind of give you kind of a bit of a brief of how important, like, one person can create change. And I know this is when we listen to the news and we listen to all of the things that's going on. I know it's really, really difficult to I guess, to kind of understand this, but genuinely, I set up kind of neurodiversity stories during COVID, when everything kind of just literally just hit the wall. And I'll go briefly over that with you in a sec, guys. Can you? Yeah, you got that. Sorry. So for me, I'm not anything special. Okay. I'm not kind of, for me, I literally just want to kind of make change. I want to help people and I want to share a message, and share other people's messages. Now, for me personally, this is how many messages over the past 3 years that I've received around neurodiversity. Now, these messages can be about kind of help, be sport, can we share their stories, anything else. So this just gives you kind of an idea of what kind of scale that we're looking at. And how we break this down is and there's a reason why I'm sharing this with yourself. So 28,564 personal messages on LinkedIn. Okay. So this is an actual breakdown of how many people are contacting. Now, as I mentioned before, nothing special, nothing, just literally putting stuff out there and trying to help and support individuals. So just imagine if you were able to kind of the work that you're doing, if those people are able to help and you're able to help and serve those people. Now, I've got to mention that this does get kind of quite overwhelming, because if you have that level of people that are kind of trying to, ask a question, there is an emotive behind it and an emotion behind it. So I've had to kind of try and understand from me how I deal with all of these different things. And that's where it comes to, that's where it comes with the community side of it. Okay. Not every single person that would message, I would be able to get back to straight away. But if you've got a community around you, then you can signpost and you can sign people in the other way, which has just been an incredible thing to do. So why do I feel that storytelling is so powerful? Okay, stories do bring people together and they do help us see the world differently. Okay, one story can spark a change in someone. I always think of it as kind of like the pebble effect. You'll never really kind of understand the people that you've helped, because some will contact you and say that story resonated with me. They may comment, or some people will just go off on their lives and they'll be able to do some incredible stuff. And they'll think, oh, it's because I saw that post, or they did this, or they did that. Okay. So sharing your story. And I think we're in an age now where where I guess, I've been doing kind of videos and bits and pieces for about, nearly 20 years now, and it still makes you feel nervous to do it. And I think that's the kind of beauty of it, because if you can kind of do that, and you can still have that nerves, it can kind of still resonate with people. Okay, so what I want you to kind of just understand is that minute you get kind of scared of sharing your story or how you feel or stuff that connects with you, it's going to help people, especially within the community, and reach out to the community because they're going to be able to help massively. So that gives you a bit of an understanding of how important you are and how important your stories are. Okay. Now, this resonates back to not being heard in school, in workplaces, it can be in friendship groups, it can be relationship, whatever it is. Okay. We always feel that we have to work twice as hard. And anyone that's kind of listening probably, hopefully, can kind of resonate in the fact that if you're trying to do a presentation, trying to do some work, trying to do anything else, the fact that you're kind of always feel like you're treading water, that's okay. Okay. Because at the end of the day, if you can kind of speak about your experiences and put this out, then that's going to be able to help. Okay. So the feeling of not being heard, I completely get it. So how does this resonate? So how do you create your own story? How do you then be able to share this to the world, basically? Okay, so I want to give you kind of a brief synopsis of where I grew up and how it was. Now, I grew up in Bristol. Now, not all of Bristol is bad in any way, shape, or form. Bristol's not bad, so I'm not knocking Bristol. Okay, this is just for me and my experience. So, very, very difficult childhood. There was a lot of crime in the area that I grew up in. We got broken into 12 times while I was a child, up until the age of 12. Car stolen on Christmas Day. There was just a lot of kind of problems within the areas that we had. Okay. The picture on the right hand side, we had a lot of problems in our house. There was kind of my dad and his mental health side of it as well. So he became a hoarder, 11 to pieces, bless his soul, which made the house again for someone that likes space and tidiness and cleanness. That was a real difficulty for me. So the areas of growing up in a house just didn't feel safe, and it was a very difficult time for me. Going into school, where school was then meant to be your sanctuary, it wasn't. There's me in the middle. You'll be pleased to know I grew into those teeth. Over on the left-hand side was a picture of a thing called the unit, which isn't a special police force. It was a porta cabin which was put into the middle of a school playing field, which was where I spent literally 5 years of my school doing colouring in, dot to dot, and dreaming, I guess. Now, the porta cabin it was pretty much like that. It was probably wasn't as dilapidated as that, but it was pretty bad. Now, for 5 years, I think I went through about 196 different teachers. When I realized that the teachers weren't actually teachers, they were just there to supervise us. The maximum that was there during the school days were probably 4 or 5 students of us, and we was labeled as the troubled kids. And this was because of the school side of it. I was able to sit in lessons. I wasn't disruptive. It was just a bit case of I just learned in a different way. They didn't quite know how to teach me. Over on the right-hand side, that was my actual school. So school was really difficult. So subsequently, I left school with no qualifications at all, hardly being able to read and write. And it was very, very difficult going into the workplace to be able to do this. These were kind of the thought patterns that was going through my mind. So I guess from a mental well-being point of view, these were really, really, I guess, playing havoc. And I guess I was so young, really, I just didn't know what was kind of happening throughout that side of it. So I did spend, many years then trying to prove to everyone else. I kind of, not a chip on my shoulder in any way, shape, or form. It was just kind of like, I guess, like I could prove them wrong. Now, when I was sat in that porta cabin during the school, and they were giving colour and inputs and stuff, I just dreamed a lot, and I would think of different ideas and for businesses that I could create. And I was doing a lot of kind of things at home, kind of entrepreneurial side of it. So I knew that once I got out of school, I could then progress and work my way up. So I got my first job pushing trolleys for Sainsbury's, 12 hours a week, and then I fell in love with retail. And this was because it enabled me to have a path to kind of grow, and do something that no one really kind of judged. And I always felt that pushing trolleys was the most important job in the store. And this is where I always think, I don't care what job title you're in or what you're doing job wise, if it's just as important to pushing the trolleys as it is being the store manager or the regional manager. And the way that I thought of this was, if I don't collect the trolleys and give them to the customers, they wouldn't be able to put the goods in the trolleys, and they wouldn't be able to pay, and it wouldn't be able to pay for everything else. So that was my mindset of how I see everything within business and every role and every, I think, community and how everyone plays a part. So fast forward many, many years later, many struggles, many struggles of promotions I didn't get and everything else like this. I then worked my way up to regional director, responsible for 52 stores and a £6 million a week operation. Now, this was a very, very tricky stage, I guess, but I always kind of progressed up within the retail side of it. But then I felt like my work life and home life and everything else, I'd obviously moved out, I'd grown a career and stuff like this, but I was working really, really hard, like 80, 90 hours a week, and I was just absolutely struggling. And I kind of got to a point where I started feeling, exhausted and burnt out. And then one news story changed everything. We always say, how did you get diagnosed? How does you knew that you had dyslexia? Now, I didn't know even the terminology dyslexia until the age of 36. Okay, so that was when a news story came along, and it inspired me. There was a lady talking about her floristry business, and she was talking about how she grew her business. And I thought, as an entrepreneur back then, because I'd left the corporate world and started my own business, I was thinking, this is a talk about entrepreneurship. I want to listen. Anyway, it wasn't a talk about entrepreneurship. She was saying, I can put the bouquets together. I can't spell what the bouquets, the flowers are, but I can tell you by the smells and da da da. And she kept using the terminology dyslexia. And it was like one of those moments, the first time in 36 years, that actually someone had spoken to me. Someone had actually told me how I was feeling, because she was saying how some of the things that affect her, some of her strengths and everything else. And we did the natural thing that everyone else does, is first you learn how to spell dyslexia, then secondly, you then Google dyslexia, and then you find out. So then I went on a big, massive journey then of self-discovery, because what I wanted to kind of understand is how dyslexia affects me. So this was kind of like a selfish journey in one aspect, because I wanted to understand how it affects me, but I wanted to understand how it affects other people, good and bad. But I didn't just want to know how it affects people in the UK. I wanted to know how it affects people on a global scale. So in amongst all of this kind of revelation and everything else, I then started going into entrepreneurship, and we created several different companies. And some were really, really great, and some were flying, and some were kind of startup models. But then two things that hit me. So at that time, I left a corporate career. I then started growing some very successful businesses. We had, hundreds of staff working with us, and it was just, a really kind of, I guess, a time that was thriving. I understood my dyslexia, and I was kind of just trying to understand that. We were growing the businesses, and then this happened, which I know affected everyone on a global scale, and everyone has a story around this side of it. But these two moments were really pivotal in how this kind of affects. So on the night that they announced that we were going into lockdown, all of the companies that we had, because we had cleaning companies, training companies, we were going into places, and everything kind of just shut down. So it almost turned the tap off of the finances. The day after that announcement happened, that my mum got announced that she was terminally ill, and that she had, she had cancer. So that was kind of like a complete double whammy for me. So during that time, that year, that first year, I was literally a carer stopped everything, because obviously the business was gone. We had no support in that side of it. So in the daytime, I was a carer for my mum. And by night, myself and my partner, we were just creating online courses, and we were doing anything we can, literally throughout the night, going on webinars. We were doing everything to try and hustle, to try and create income, to obviously make sure that we can still, finance and stuff like this. Then sadly, my mum passed, and we hustled for many years within that, bless her. then I thought to myself, okay, so I want to now kind of understand dyslexia. I want to understand how this kind of works on a global scale. Okay, how I can help and how I can support and how I can serve. Now, one email changed everything because I thought I then started kind of working in schools and I did loads of work in those and so on and so on. And I thought, how do I reach organizations? So I went to the IDA, so the International Dyslexia Association, and if you scroll, I'm not too sure now, but if you scroll to the very bottom, you'd have all of the global partners that were affiliated with the International Dyslexia Association. And I contacted every single one of them, 76 different organizations, and we put this email together. And it was a very, people in Kenya and Ghana and Australia, all of these different things. And I put this email together, and they must have thought it was a bit strange. Some guy from England emailing. And it was literally just, I hope it finds you well. I'm a businessman. I do this, and this. Can I help and support in any way? And it wasn't asking for anything. It was just give it. It was, how can I help and serve you? That was all I was kind of asking for. I wasn't asking for money. I would fund it all myself, but this was what I was kind of asking. Within that email going out, within 4 weeks of those emails going out, I had a lot of people come back and say, no, we're okay. We had many people ignore the email. We had some people come back and say, yeah, we can do this. But within 5 weeks, sorry, of this email first going out and connecting with the two sisters over in Kenya, I'd flown out and we'd created this amazing event. And there was about just under 300 people that were all kind of crammed into this amazing kind of sort of cattle shed. And we did this amazing event and we raised awareness for their school. And then we did some amazing work with them afterwards. That then progressed. So then we were able to kind of then went to Malawi, Bali, Israel, and America, and so on and so on. And this was all just asking how I can help and serve and raise more awareness. I also thought to myself, how can I work in the educational sector? How can I give back? How can I raise more awareness around this? And I started speaking in schools. And the first school that I went back to ask if I could speak to them was my old school, which is now an academy. So that was a very nerve-wracking time because I just genuinely felt the minute you walked up to those school gates, although the building had changed, obviously a bit more modernized now, that feeling of feeling small and like, oh my God, I feel terrified. And when the headmaster came out, I felt like I'd done something wrong. Then we went in, we did this assembly, and it was a phenomenal experience, very nerve-wracking. And then that then progressed. How can I then serve and work more? And I've just spoken to, just over 1 million students over a period of time, which I've got to say, if you're ever looking to start doing public speaking, and you ever want training or anything, go into a school because they're the most incredible people and honest people that you're ever going to find. Because the thing is, if you go to a business and someone says, oh, okay, we've got X person speaking, you actually either pay to go or you want to go and you sit there and you watch. With a school, they usher all the kids in and they sit there in an assembly and they have to kind of listen. So you can kind of clock their faces if you're engaging, but they're the most incredibly rewarding talks because you can do so much. I then thought to myself, how do I then get into the business sector? Because a lot of businesses at that time were not wanting to speak about dyslexia. And the most amazing thing now is when we've got all of these different shows and everything else, it's more prevalent that companies will want you to talk about dyslexia. But when we're talking sort of, many years ago, when I applied, they would say, no, we want you to talk about your business success, or we want you to talk about this. And I would always say, no, I want to talk about dyslexia because that's the meaning behind it. And they would say, no, it wouldn't get bums on seats. And then one organization said, yes, we'll give you a chance. And then that's kind of started. And then as the sector evolved, I guess, we were able to kind of introduce that side of it. So I was able to go to many wonderful opportunities to speak at businesses, at expos and events like that. And the core of what I wanted to get across, the core message was around kind of understanding someone with dyslexia and how you can kind of help and support. And ultimately, some of these people as well, that's the first time they've ever kind of spoken about it. So it was incredibly rewarding how this kind of worked. I then thought, how can I then take this into the business sector? So we did the school, we've done the global side of it. How can I take it into the business sector? And I think if you're in one of these organizations or you want to go and speak to these organizations, the first thing I'd say is that no one is untouchable now in the sense of how you get in contact with these people. And it doesn't mean that you have to be anything special. in any way, shape, or form. You just need to ask questions. That is literally how I've lived my life. I have lived the life of just literally saying, how do you do this? How do I come and speak for you? How do I do this? What are your pain points? How can I help? How can I serve? How can I support? And I think that's been the biggest learning curve for me, because the minute you start able to have these conversations with people, it literally opens up the most incredible doors. So this has been kind of some of my journey throughout the time, and there's been so many down parts and there's been so many high parts, and I don't want to kind of, this is your life kind of red book side of it, of sharing absolutely everything in there, but it has taken me on the most incredible journey. And I really do feel that if I can help and inspire just one person throughout anything that I do, then I feel like I've done my job. Now, I also feel that I haven't even scratched the surface of what I can potentially do, or what we can do, ultimately, what we can do as a community. So I hope that gives you kind of a little bit more, a little bit more kind of understanding of how powerful your story is, because ultimately, by you sharing that, it's going to help someone else to share there. And then if we can have more communication around that, that's going to help massively. So I will stop sharing now. And thank you so much indeed for allowing me to share that with you guys.
Thank you, Darren. Genuinely very touching and personal story. And genuinely, thank you for sharing that with us. Really generous of you. The thing, and I was just going to put it in the chat, but I wanted to say it to your face, as it were. I love the fact that you didn't say, "Can I do something?" It was, "How can I do something?"
Yeah.
Never a sort of, "Oh, should I do this? Should I do that?" It's just like, how do I do this now? Was that ever a thought process that crossed your mind? Did you ever think, "Can I do this?" Or was it just, "How do I do this?"
Literally, I think I live my life by how. My biggest learning is through YouTube. I see someone doing something and I'm like, how do I do this? Like, how do I learn this? And I guess I never really thought about it until you pointed that out. It is that, like, if someone else can do it, then is it, I guess, yeah, it's just how do I do that? I don't
Yeah,
know. I've never broken that down. I guess it's
yeah,
that mental side of it that is, anything is possible.
yeah. I think if you if you spend too much time sort of questioning yourself and can I do it? How do I do it? Do I have the skills to do it? Do I have the time to do it? Is my wife going to let me do it? It's I don't know whether my wife's downstairs with Matt at the moment, so we've got to be careful. But yeah, I think that's the way to achieve. It really is.
I think the interesting bit as well, Darren, you said that at the start, and I think this probably links into what you've said as well, is the fact that, for you starting out, that role of trolleys, the process was quite interesting for you, in the fact that the way that was part of a team, because if people didn't have the trolley, they can't go and shop. If they can't go and shop, they can't get it. So there's no point having and I think, that in itself, I think, goes to show, I think, everybody that there are, people in roles doing things that allow somebody else to do something else and somebody else to do that, and then you as an individual to do what you need to do as well, right from that sort of point.
Absolutely, you're spot on, Matt, and I think that's where, when we see terminologies like, entry level jobs or all of these different terminologies, and I like it. It doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form if whatever job I'm doing, as long as I feel like I'm adding value within that side of it, and I think that progression is absolutely key for me. So it is a key, like, am I doing this? Am I helping? Am I serving? Am I value? And then that's great. Okay, so how can I progress? How can I progress not just me, but the company? How can I progress the individuals that are in there? And that's the kind of the mindset. But I always feel going in at a certain level, whatever that kind of looks like within an organization, is the most rewarding thing, because you just literally just absorb off of people, and you just look to who you can aspire to be like, or how you can lead differently, or how you can do these. And I think that mindset is key. We live in this age now, I guess, where we're judged on, the first thing you meet someone's, oh, what do you do for a living? Where do you live? What do you do? All of these things. They're kind of like a subtle kind of, we're just gauging, how much influence do you have? What does this look like? And I think that level, if you can just feel comfortable within yourself, is like, I'm on a learning spirit at the moment, and I'm doing this and that's growing. Then, and you're okay with that, then I think that does help. But that's that's just always been my mindset, I guess. I will go into an entry. I'm using that as purely as a terminology, an entry level position within that. If I want to kind of learn that trade, or I want to learn that industry, or I want to learn something, and then I will then grow accordingly, however that kind of works. But then ultimately, if you have got that skill and that knowledge, you can come in at that level. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's asking.
Yeah. I just think it's an interesting way of looking at it. I actually noticed I worked many years ago for an engineering company. One of the first things I had to do there was I had to learn how to make the material that the guys said on the shop floor used. Because if you don't understand the process, then you didn't understand how every person within that organization had a value.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite interesting.
Yeah, it does come down to, and then you, like within every single organization that you're in, or even if you're doing it for yourself, you do add value, and you are like, there's a point where you're doing something that's, like you said, helping someone else do theirs. So I do think it's important.
Absolutely. There's I've got to say, Darren, a lot of love in the chat, they're really kind. Thank you for everybody sharing your comments in there as well. I'm just going to pick up a couple. Linda Wakeford, as a dyslexia teacher, you mentor your students' self-belief, and sometimes you never get to know how that transforms or influences a life. And yeah, I just as a personal thing, there was one teacher when I was younger who, I was the the kid making trouble at the back of the class. And he sort of, he was the guy who recognized that, maybe I wasn't just trouble. Maybe, I was struggling with my eyesight and my hearing, and he's the one who sort of brought me to the front of the class and helped me. And, without him, I've no idea where I'd be now. And I regret never having the opportunity to tell Mr. Heath exactly sort of how much he helped me, but he did have a great beard. So, yeah, I hope wherever he is, he's doing good. David Gillespie. I've never seen Gillespie spelled that way, David, so I hope I've read it correctly. I think the mindset of how do I do this or that is stronger with people with disabilities. Being a thalidomider and chatting to fellow thalidomiders, it runs through us all. Interesting. My experience probably mirrors yours on that, David. So yeah. Gary Smith has asked, fantastic story. Did Tesco support or help you? Or as I suspect, this was just supporting your mindset.
So my, and it builds, it comes on the comment you just meant about you will always find someone across. I always say you always find someone along your journey that will help and support, that believes in you more than you believe in them. Okay, that you more than you believe in yourself. There we go. All right, that's the correct terminology. Okay, and for Tesco's as an actual organization, no, they didn't, because we're talking a long time ago, and they've, now they've got lots of different things. And it's funny because I've actually worked with them since, and they've got a lot of things that they've put in place. Still not finally fixed, but they're doing something. So no, the support wasn't there. But then I did all of my corporate career with. I didn't know that I had dyslexia, so it's very difficult for them to support and not know. But it was interesting because when I first joined and I crossed over from one retailer to Tesco's, there was a gentleman called Dave Jones, who was my line manager at the time. And he was the most inspirational person ever. And he literally, I would say hand on heart, and I've met for a drink with him and I've told him endless times, and he's like, okay, enough. Because he was literally the guy that took me from this young lad that had a chip on his shoulder that was kind of slamming crates down and sometimes and thinking, why am I doing this? And then sometimes inspirational. And he really helped and guided me to kind of, and then whenever I got a promotion, he would be the first person I would call. So when I was, for years and years and years, even after he'd left Tesco, so he's probably like blocked my number, but I would phone him and just say, I've got that promotion, I'm doing this. And he was really, really pleased for me. So yeah, we do have gems along our journey. We have gems that kind of help and support.
Very true. Very true. So just a couple of last questions from me, I think. Working with anybody we know at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm there's a lot of work going on in different countries as well. I'm sadly kind of there's a lot of NDAs that I've had to kind of sign in that sense. But yeah, there's some amazing stuff that's going on. I'm doing a lot of work with like I said, some single CEOs as well, to kind of with regards to kind of bringing their things into the UK and kind of helping within those side of it. So yeah, there's quite a few companies that you probably would know.
Yep.
There's a few NDAs I can't kind of disclose within that side of it, but ultimately, I feel we are doing some amazing stuff together
Yep.
collectively within.
Yep. Awesome. Well, we shall look forward to sort of more news on what you're up to when you're able to talk about it. I definitely look forward to that. In terms of things like your neurodiversity stories, how would we sort of follow along and sort of see what you're up to there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, the best way to connect with me is via LinkedIn or just Google Neurodiversity Stories. We're always looking for for guests, to come on and share their story and share, I guess, what the incredible stuff they're doing. The give back for that really is to kind of help spread more awareness about the individual and again the company they're with or how they're working. So yeah, I'd say. Yeah, so just get in contact and let's just have a conversation around that side of it.
Perfect. Well, there you go. I encourage everybody else who's on the call today. If you have anything that Darren can share with the wider world, I heavily encourage it because it's through sharing these personal sort of stories and experiences that I think we can help to impact more lives and hopefully. Well, I'm getting quite old now, so the next generation, maybe even the generation after that. But yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. Awesome. Matt, any last questions for Darren before we run today's Christmas poll?
Don't think so. No, I think we covered most of that off with the custard situation at the start. With his love of that and the puddings. So I think he's done that. And we obviously see, if you check out Darren's LinkedIn, everybody, I would suggest that there is lots of stuff going on in that.
There is.
Very pensive Darren. I saw in a photo yesterday at what looked like a football stadium, but whether or not he's going to give which team that was away and possibly lose some of these people on here, I'm not sure.
Can we go back to custard?
No, yeah, there we go.
Awesome. Good stuff. Right. In which case, I'm just going to launch this while I keep talking. So this is today's Christmas poll, which we would appreciate your contributions on. I think we're going to do a report on this at the end and share it to the wider sofa. But where'd you hide your Christmas presents? We have an interesting one on that. Is that up and live, Matt? Can you see that?
No, can you put that up again? It sort of came up and disappeared.
Did it?
Yeah.
If I do that,
yeah.
Let's do that.
There we go. That's it. Now it's there.
Yeah, I think I got a bit trigger happy on that one. Sorry. We have an interesting sort of circumstance between me and my wife. I hide everything up high because she's considerably shorter than me, and she hides everything down low, so I just never think to look down there. So yeah, between us, we managed to hide everything. That works quite well. And the kids have no idea.
See, I've hid most of the stuff still in the shops right now.
Yeah. Mine definitely goes in the wardrobe. Mind you, everything else gets dumped in my wardrobe as well. So
yeah, I'm a personal fan of Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve. The element of pressure of having to make a decision.
Does work that way sometimes. It is a good job Oscar isn't on today. Yes, definitely. Although his hasn't arrived yet. He still hasn't made his mind up, the little tinker. So yes, we're waiting for him to make a choice. It's impossible to buy for. Actually, although ironically, when he got his I must get this right, they're not Rubik's cubes, they are twisty puzzles. So when he got his cube out yesterday, he realized one of the corners had been dinked, so he's getting a new twisty puzzle for Christmas. So he can do the 2x2, the 3x3, the 4x4, and he can do the pyramids as well. So we'll have him on next year. He can do the rest of them.
Yeah, right. We'll just get into the rest of them. Anna's with me for Christmas shopping. Is the only way to go on Christmas Eve. Perfect.
There we go. Right, yeah, it's somewhere between the wardrobe and still in the shops. So yeah, somewhere in between. That's yeah, all good. Phoebe, my mum still hides her presents in the back or on top of the wardrobe. Yeah. David's is in the dog kennel. It wouldn't be lasting long if it was in my dog kennel. But anyway, We have the early Christmas present prize draw to give away as well, which today is a mini projector. So we're going to go to Darren, and can I get a number between 1 and 77, please, Darren?
7.
7. He's gone low.
He went
Very
straight
low.
in with that as well. That's obviously that's a lucky number, I'm guessing, for Darren. 7 is Corinne Forrester.
Corinne Forrester, are you still with us? Oh, it's a tense moment.
Yeah, woohoo!
Oh, excellent. Right, Corinne, we will be in touch to get your address. There you go. That's one less present, so you can stash that in the wardrobe as well, or keep it
Or
yourself.
in the kennel.
Yeah, or in the kennel. Yeah, no, all good, all good. So, just so everybody knows, we won't be here tomorrow. We're back again on Monday. We hope everybody will join us then. And we've actually got our Works Christmas party this afternoon. So we hope that we will all be rested and well by Monday as well. So
that has no bearing on us not doing one tomorrow at all.
Could be quite entertaining if we did. But yeah, thank you very much. Yes, we will enjoy. I'm sure there'll be some photos. Maybe I'll even share a couple if they're shareable.
Maybe do those earlier in the day, evening, rather than later. I think
so. Yeah, get them in early while we're at the Christmas markets. So yeah, Manchester, watch out this afternoon. Awesome. Thank you all very, very much. Pleasure. Ian, lovely. Norma, good to see you again. Phoebe Pace, thank you as well. Enjoy. Dawn, goodbye. Corinne, yep, we'll be in touch. Louise Campbell, yes, lovely to see you again. Phoebe, Ryan, good to see you. And yeah, take care, Andrew. John Higgins, thank you too as well. I think everybody's slowly disappearing.
Yeah.
I think the talk of puddings has encouraged everyone to, like, you know,
go and get one.
Get on, and yeah, it's going to be a pudding lunch all round, I think.
Yeah, it's made me hungry, I won't lie.
Yeah, and I've got nothing in the house, mate. Sorry.
No, well, there you go.
Yeah. Jamie, thank you very much. Jerry Anderson, hope all is well in the US. Yes, we will catch you on Monday. Richard Hughes, thank you, mate. Yes, we will. I'm sure it'll all be very sensible. Awesome. Good stuff. Right, on that, Darren, we will let you go. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you so much, guys.
Today. Really kind of you.
Cheers, Darren. Appreciate that.
Have a great Christmas. Cheers,
Thank you.
guys.
We'll speak soon. Be good. Bye-bye.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.